Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today, the Duff Dog and I are going to pick up a 1967 Chevrolet two-wheel drive long box fleet side pickup. So the story on this one is, I was driving down the road, looking off, I think it's Highway 27, north side of the road. I see this pickup, like sweet, 67 Chevy, rally wheels, looks pretty good. Went and checked it out. First thing I noticed is that it's got Mortske repair decal on the back. It's yours, mortske.com. It had a pudding decal on the back. And turns out the gentleman that owns this thing, I used to work for him, or maybe he's a couple levels above me at my corporate job. But anyway, let's go check it out. All right, got her all loaded up, ready to go. Duff's been eyeballing the neighbors' squirrels, haven't you? We can't let you go after them. We don't want to get evicted from the big city of Lisbon. All right, head her for home. I might go stop by the ice cream, U-Scream, and get some ice cream because it's warm out. How about you? You want some ice cream? Tell you what, that strawberry cheesecake cyclone or whatever it was that we got from Ice Cream U-Scream really hit the spot. Even shared a little with Duff. Let's take a look at Wally's 67 here. So 67, small back window, which was standard. You could get the panoramic view option, which was the big back window. 67, you could only get big back windows. 67 also is the only year that didn't have marker lights. 67 and 68 have this nice flat hood, and then they have the same grills. It's got a chrome front bumper, and then all this is chrome, which was an option. 283, 3 on the tree. He said this thing was stuck when he got it. He got the 3-speed from Chin. That was in Chin's square body. He got the 283 loose, but he put a 350 in it with the fuel injection, and he took that out because he got another, I think it's a 68 GMC. He's gonna build that one. His wife said you can only have one, so this one had to go. And he took that 350 out, put the 283 back in it. Seems like it runs good. We'll get to that in a minute. Stainless is pretty dinged up. It's got pretty new Hancooks on it. Rallies all the way around. Oh, we're gonna have to get some shiny lug nuts on there. Can't have them dirty guys. But it's got dings. It's got rust. It's got holes in the bed floor. There's a pretty good whammy there. It's a good driver. That's what it is. He's got it lowered a little bit. I think he's got like 2-inch springs in the front, and I don't know, probably about the same in the rear. Probably like a 3.5 drop, something like that. Tailgate's banged up. Look at that. Proud supporter of Mortske Repair and Puddin's Fab Shop. So that's why I had to buy it. It's got this cool, it's different. Usually these are pretty square, these aftermarket bumpers. This is nice and rounded. He's got like an LMC kit for exhaust with glass packs. It sounds okay. It's missing all the trim on this side. I don't know what the deal with these riveted on center caps are. Oh, it does have a couple chrome lug nuts. Some mismatchage going on there. So, yeah, there's a hooey there. It's just a good driver. It'd be nice to put some different wheels on it and some different trim. Leave the rust, see how bad it is. I don't know. Somebody, when he had it on the street, somebody didn't know that the doors were locked and broke both door handles. So 68 bucks or something like that on eBay. I got some on order. No radio, no antenna. I forget what he called this color, something green, but yeah, it's a cool color, and you don't see many of this color. Typical of all these, the cup on the fender's rotted out underneath the battery box. The cab is actually, hood's whammied there. The cab is actually really rusty on this thing. God, if somebody did this to my pickup, I would be absolutely livid. Which I guess they did do to my pickup, because now I own it and I have to fix it. He had the door panel off when I pulled up in his driveway. He was trying to fix it, but we'll worry about that later. Must have had some big old tow mirrors on it. There's the holes. But yeah, I've never seen one rust out there. And he'd told me about this one time in the past. He wanted to replace this skin, and I said, you know what, just enjoy the pickup the way that it is. So that's a bad spot to repair. Anyway, ooh. So it's got, he said this is the back seat from like a crew cab, you know, about a 96 to 2000 crew cab. Not a front seat, but when you take the headrests out of them, they're tolerable, but they are kind of big, and he's kind of a big guy, so he said that's why he put this smaller steering wheel. He gave me the stock one. 3-point seat belts in it. Shoulder harnesses. Some rust in the floors. This must be the floor mat out of that pickup. Oh, it looks like we're missing a window crank and mismatched door handle there, but we can get those. I probably got some. Looks like we got some rust repairs to do. Oh, not too bad. Pretty common. He said he did go through the heater core and the heater box, and all these cables and stuff are new, so that should work good. He said the fuel gauge is not working. There's a sending unit in the back, plus he gave us an extra gauge. So there's plenty of things we can do. He did say the park brake cables are new, which is nice when you got a 3-speed, so hopefully we don't have to cut those. The intake he's got on this thing doesn't have the breather, so he gave me the stock 283 valve covers, because without the breather, can't run those. Got the inspection covers here. There's that sending unit and the steering wheel. Duff is outside enjoying the weather, so I gotta open the hood myself. That opens nice. Delco battery in it. Cables are the correct color. It looks like, yeah, old style 283 heads. Looks like it's a stock aluminum quadrajet intake. He's got a quadrajet on it. Seems like it runs okay. Got a shut off valve and the heater hose. Untrimmed zip tie there. HEI. I'm sure all the brakes and stuff are new. He's got, yeah, DJM springs all the way around, it sounds like. This must be his overflow for his radiator. Got a nice little license plate repair holding that together. No flexi hoses, top or bottom. What a deal. Short water pump. Made himself a little bracket here to hold the alternator. Got the typical doubled up bracket to hold that in place. No power steering, no power brakes. Ram horn stock manifolds. He said his kit didn't fit very well on the manifolds. Figures. Buy an exhaust kit or any kit, they don't work. Tell you what, I rolled it off the rollback and I drove it in here to get out of the wind and film this. And that's it. So let's grab the dog, the camera, my sunglasses, and let's see how Wally does going down the road. Oh, we're gonna need a locking pliers or something here, huh? That sounds pretty good. Yeah, I sit way too high in here. I don't like this seat. Gotta round up my dog. Usually he's chomping at the bit for a ride. He did say that he hadn't put a kit or anything in this carburetor, so could use some work. So here's the deal on this pickup we're calling Wally. He kind of talked to me through the build a little bit, not a ton, you know, bounced a question off me here and there. I glanced at it in the parking lot. Well, then I was out test driving the wagon and seen this thing for sale along the highway. Called him. He says, yeah, too many projects, you know, so on and so forth. He's like, we put crazy money on it, we'll see what happens. I was like, what's crazy money? $6,500 bucks. I know what it takes to put these things together, and I'm like, okay, so that's crazy money. I'm like, what's the buddy discount? He said $4 grand. I'm like, I'll take it. I've never driven it, I've never ridden in it, I've never looked inside of it. He goes, well, you know it doesn't have the 350 in it anymore. I said, nope, I didn't know that. And I said, what trannies it got? And I assumed it was an automatic. So like I said, I just glanced at it. He said, no, it's 3 on the tree. And then it came to me that Chin sold him this tranny. So anyway, long story short, I thought it was a screaming deal. And if it wasn't, it's on me. But Speedo works, we're doing 55 now. He lives about 15 miles away from work, so he's driving this thing 30 miles round trip. He had a Fi-Tech on the 350 in it, and he's put that in his other pickup with a $700 floor, so he put the 283 back together. He didn't do any machine work, just cleaned up the valves. I think he said he put new pistons in it. Obviously, he put this different intake on it. It was probably a 2-barrel. And yeah, I'm guessing he's never had it aligned. Goes down the road great. He said he put new window felt in the windows, so that's awesome. Even though you can see daylight through the cab. But other than like the cab rust and the dings, it ain't so bad. So there again, I go back to, you know, if you want a show vehicle, 100 point, whatever, this wouldn't be the pickup for you, because by the time you fix the rust, you're not going to want to use this engine. If you don't like 3 speeds, you got to have perfect exhaust, you want fancy wheels, this is the pickup for you. But as far as for like a daily driver, something you can haul the leaves in, something you can take it to the car show, you can take it to work, you can, like I said, you can just daily it. I think we did pretty well. So yeah, kind of feels like there's maybe a little bit of a vibration on the front end. He did say that the wheels were not balanced. He's got a tire machine, but he doesn't have a balancer, so he just threw them on there. So that might be that. We can balance them, but to be honest, I think this thing needs like dog dishes and steelies, because everything does. There's it's kind of really the only 3 options you can find around here for 6-lug is the rallies that this has, which, like I said, I'm kind of burned out on. Dog dishes and steelies, which I'm kind of burned out on too, but it's a pretty good option. Or wagon wheels or white spokes. And that is not an option for me. No way. Those are for trailer. All right, it's probably a bit noisy for a test drive video, so I think we're just gonna cruise a little bit here. Brakes seem good. Steering seems really tight. We're doing 50 right now to keep the wind down. Try to keep it a little bit quieter in here. It's not super peppy, but it's probably got like some 308 gears in the rear. But there's 60, 65. Oh yeah, she'll cruise down the road pretty good. We'll put together a list of things I think we need and head her back to the shop. Make this thing Mortskeized. He was all worried I was gonna rip into him in the video. So far we haven't seen nothing. We'll put it on the lift and see if we see anything there. But I think he's pretty good about using stock components. Like you put a stock steering wheel, albeit newer, same thing with the seat. Like it's not some obnoxious racing bucket seats like we're in that Camaro, or some chain link steering wheel. It's all good off-the-shelf GM components. I had a hard time getting that window down, and sure enough the spring from the door handle is getting wedged in there, so we'll have to pull that apart and fix it. We'll see if we can't get this door fixed. I know I've seen a lot of door handles busted like this, but I've never fixed one, so it'll be a new experience for me, and probably a lot of you as well. All right, first thing we got to do is fix these door handles, because that is unacceptable. Should be a bolt there and a bolt there, so let's get that ripped out of there real quick. See if we can't fix it. We got 1 1/4-inch screw out. Now I think we got to roll the window up to get the other one out. To be honest, I'm pretty familiar with these pickups. I don't think I've ever taken a door handle off. There we go, just like that. So now, I think there's a piece of flat metal that goes right here, and this pot metal crimps it in place, and this spring returns the button to where it needs to go. So we got to try to dig that out of the door. Hopefully it's in there. Sound deadener, and a bunch of dirt and rust. Oh, that was metallic, whatever it was. I was unable to locate that piece, so I don't know if Wally fished it out of the door or what. But all it is a flat piece of metal that just holds this spring, and then it's got a hole in the center for that rod to go through. And when you push the door handle, it pushes that rod, and then that rod activates your door latch. But until my eBay special door handles that are probably nowhere near the quality of these OEM ones that some punk kids looking at this pickup on the side of the road ruined, we're just gonna run without door handles. the shaved door handle look. There's a little metal tab right there. You just push on it, opens the door. You gotta 2-finger it though. 2 fingers, that's what she likes. You gotta push with one and then pull the door open with the other. Let me show you. Just like so. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That sucks they ruined these, because now we're gonna have some shiny door handles on a crappy pickup. But if we got really patient, we could probably make that metal tab, but there's really no good way to attach it to this pop metal. All right. Anyway, we're just gonna leave the other side for now. So that way I know how to put this side back together. I can use that side as a reference. What do you think about them rallies? Yeah, me too. I just can't get excited about these things. So I went and dug through my stash. Guess what I got? A set of factory 67 full hubcaps. There they are. They're not perfect, just like the rest of this pickup. One's missing the simulated wide 5 lug nut. And one of them's got a couple of dingers in it. But I tell you what, Chin and I found these at the Lone Star Roundup last year, and I can't remember what I paid for them. It was like 20 bucks, cheap. Hubcaps are getting expensive. And we didn't know what they fit. And I figured it out now. We're gonna give them a whirl. Let's, I think it'll fit over the center caps. What do you think, Duff? He says only one way to find out. There's nothing wrong with rallies. They're just freaking overdone in my opinion. Everybody's got them. These hubcaps might be in worse shape by the time we get them on there. Son of a biscuit. You don't have this problem with aluminum wheels, I can tell you that. Aha. Here's the problem. We're going to do a little body work. She's a little wang dang doodled. Get the old English pliers out. Give her a little tweaker whiskey.
One eternity later.
Here we go. I don't know if I love it just yet, but we're trying. That one fit much better. You want your hubcaps to fit tight. That's the thing that sucks about aftermarket hubcaps. They don't fit tight. And you take a corner hot and they go brum, brum, brum. Gone forever. Aaron Hernandez.
Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
I'm gonna go to the other side, run her outside, see how she looks. Old Duff just chilling in the shade over there. You gonna come check these hubcaps out or what, pal? You wanna go for a ride in the wagon? Yeah, we could maybe do that later. What a gorgeous day. What do you guys think of these hubcaps? I know I gotta clean them up. I think they'd be better with a little less tire up front. And it's gotta be lower. It's gotta be like bagged. Slammed on the ground, don't you think, Duff? I don't know. I don't know if I like them. Yeah. Well, we gave her a whirl anyway. We're only out half hour of our time digging them out and popping them on. We'll see. It looks terrible on this side without the trim. I wonder if we could find some trim. Yeah, right. That's the thing, these 67 to 72s, I don't have a spare one in the yard. I got the rollback, or the ramp truck thing. And I got my short bed. I don't have a spare cab or nothing. So I don't have any spare. I got a couple spare odds and end pieces, but I don't have a donor truck is what I'm getting at. If I think real hard, maybe I could find one around the countryside, but I really don't want to buy a whole truck just for the trim. And they made a bunch of different levels of trim, and a lot of the trucks didn't even have trim. So yeah, and I know you could buy a new, but we're not going to spend $1,000 on trim on this thing. We're gonna go for an RIDE. Yeah? All right, let's do it. See if we can find any more issues. Once you got it warmed up, the old quadrabog likes to die when you run her back down to idle. So we should probably see if Chin can go through the quadrabog for us, or throw an Edelbrock on it and carry on with our lives. Should really swap intakes and put an Edelbrock or a 2-barrel or something on it, just to get rid of those hideous valve covers, or put different valve covers on it. And it also seems to be weeping horsepower on my floor. Dang it. Can't have anything nice. Well, that's not good for business. Got a major gas leak. I just filled her up. Man, that has to be a line or something. Or a giant hole in the tank. Either way, probably not gonna fire that thing up. I'm gonna go grab a pan. Just for you, Greta. We're gonna safely contain this moderate catastrophe.
How dare you!
Anybody know if $4 clear plastic bins are fuel safe? We about to find out. Hopefully this thing doesn't turn into napalm. Yeah, Duff, we got a problem here. I thought you were peeing on the tire on the other side of the pickup when I shut the pump off. Yeah, that's a bad deal. It's probably gonna divert us going for a ride. Well, I suppose I should go looking for another pan, because there could be, what, 20 gallons in there? 16? It looks like it's slowing down. That's a lot of fuel. And this silly seat doesn't tip ahead. Hey, we're not going for a ride. Try not to stay away from the cigarette lighter, if you would. Hey, it's got a cigarette lighter delete. Anyway, I wonder if he had some type of electric pump for the, this is why you don't have nice things, because your dog just jumps out and scratches the door. You're the reason we don't have nice things, Duff. Yeah, are you allergic to gas? What do you got? Is it springtime? We need to get you a shave. Oh, yeah. And wood ticks. We've been finding the wood ticks, ain't we? All right. We dare start that thing? Matching the gas tank?
Matching the gas tank. Boom, boom.
I don't know if you guys saw Dalton. Where's the sun at? At Pole Barn Garage. He had like a 78 Chevy Caprice station wagon and drove over the fuel tank in a race, roundy around, circle jerker style. And yeah, his car kept running, made like a whole lap, and was sitting there idling. They came up and they're like, "Oh, that was your fuel tank." Just mashed her all up. So then what do they do at a racetrack? I've never seen this happen. I don't go to much roundy around. And they lit the gas. They just went out on the track and lit it, which I guess is the safest thing to do. But that stuff was black and it burned for a long time. I don't know what kind of fuel he was running. Knowing him, it was just the stuff that was in there.
Well, I suppose that is one way to get rid of the gas tank that fell out of someone's car. Just burn it.
They light it on fire.
Well, that's what I would do as well. Well, it has slowed down. You suppose we just overfilled it and that's a vent overflow? I don't know. Another reason to take this nasty seat out of here is so that we can get at the fuel tank and see what's leaking. Well, Duff, should we back it up? Risk it for the biscuit? All right, I'm gonna pull that jug of fuel out of there. Duff's gonna keep a safe distance. What's the worst gonna happen? I mean, this quadrijet's only backfired like 6 times on me. Oh, I gotta move the jug of fuel. That would not be good. Back right over it. I have the local hazmat team on call. They're gonna take care of that spill and clean her up, so no need to worry about getting Greta involved. We always do the environmentally friendly thing, right, Duff? That's why our air compressor runs off of air and not steam. It's better for the environment. I think we'll risk it for the biscuit, and we'll get that 67 running and drive her in. But the first thing we're gonna do is put her on the lift. That way we can figure out what the heck this fuel issue is, because this is the joy of buying old cars that are used. Anything can happen. It could happen to this one right now. Speaking of that, let's fire this flathead up and get her out of the way. This thing's got the coolest sound and exhaust in the whole yard. Yay, nobody's blown up. The shop hasn't burned down. We don't lose the shop. All right, let's get this thing up in the air and see what we got. This isn't off to a very good start, Duff. You got a bad taste in your mouth? Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, Wally did mention that he had the fuel injection on this pickup. So I bet he had a return line, and he said something about a hose hanging underneath. I'm betting it's a return line. And I'm wondering if that spare sending unit was the original sending unit, and then he went to fuel injection, so he needed a return line. So they probably sell a sending unit with a return line, so we put that in there. So we probably just gotta plug that return line, and at the same time, when we pull the seat out, we should swap that sending unit, and then we don't have a return line to worry about. And also, I got 3 different sizes of blocks that go on my lift. These are the shortest, these are the tallest. And most of my cars barely fit the smallest, and we got the medium range with this thing. You know what that means? We gotta lower this thing. And I was pumping gas, staring at the bed here. It's like, man, you know, I can deal with, you know, a hole over there. Even that's pretty bad, but a whole board missing. I don't want to do the plywood thing. Look at that, Mr. Safety. I brought the NOS extinguisher with in case this thing lit up. But I'm thinking, I've never put a bed kit in. It can't be that hard. But if I'm getting a bed kit, should I just order a short bed kit? You gotta take the box off, shorten this thing up. We gotta find trim for the other side anyway. There's a bunch of dents that we could probably either cut out or work out. Actually, this box side, short of a little bit of rust there, and a little bend down there that I could probably cut out or work out. This side's not that bad. Little dinger there I can live with. That tailgate's junk, but it's gonna be junk if it's a long bit anyway. There's a little dent there. This is a pretty dang good bed. I never even looked at it. A little bit of rot down there. That would be pretty easy fix if somebody cared enough. So I don't know, what do you think? Comment down below. Are we gonna do a short bed around here? You guys wanna see us put a bed floor in? I got a bunch of pickups that need bed floors, so it'd be good to get practiced up. But other than there's a little bit of rust down there. I don't know, if a guy did that piece up in there, it'd be a lot of work, but you could get this dent knocked out of it. Super easy. There's a little dent there. You could knock all those out if you had that roof out of there. Anyway, we got a fuel leak to resolve. The gears are turning. This thing would look way better lower anyway, but with these hubcaps, I think it'd look really good low. Comment down below. Short bed conversion, yay or nay? A lot of people hate them. I'm kind of impartial. I like short beds, but long beds are handy. And low long beds are pretty cool. All right, things are getting a little fishy down here. So there, it looks like where it was coming from. That line right there. 3/8 line. Looks like there's a splice there and a whole bunch of rubber going into the cab. And this looks like the factory line. But look at this. Look at this, Wally. PVC. Holes drilled in the end, screws holding the caps on. They did trim off the zip ties. And then we got a barb pipe thing coming this end. That must be his vent, but don't you want your vent? I don't know. I don't know if that qualifies as a vent. I mean, I guess it does, but if it vents fuel out, it's no good. All right, I'm gonna go in the cab and figure out what we can do with these, because we don't need them down here, that's for sure. Especially right by our exhaust pipe. It kind of looks like it's had something spraying on it. Hopefully that was engine oil. I tell you what, since we got her up in the air, let's take a look, and then we'll set it down and plug off some fuel returns. I don't know, loop them, swap sending unit. Nah, I don't think we're gonna get that ambitious tonight. So factory sway bar, I think all these pickups had them. 60 to 66 didn't, but 67 to 72s, pretty sure they were factory. All these pickups had 6-lug bolt pattern and drum brakes until 71. 71 they went 5-on-5 bolt pattern and disc brakes. There was no options for drums. They just a swap over. Looks like he's got a new upper ball joint. He's got, I think he said DJM springs, part number something GH 9169. I'm sure we can look it up. Bump stops are still in there, so it's clearly not low enough. He said that it was the last engine that was leaking oil, but oh, I see a bunch of RTV all over the timing cover. So yeah, I love the RTVs. So who knows what we're gonna find there. But yeah, like I said, it was leaving a pretty good puddle. So we better look into that. I don't know if it's coming around the fuel pump, but again, a bunch of RTV. Come on. I bet I go through a bottle of RTV a year. Seems like some people go through one every project. R45S Delco plugs, ram horn manifold. Looks like a new clutch. We got that cover we can put on. He's got the spin-on oil filter adapter. Looks like it had originally had the canister type. It looks like the bushing is completely gone on that Z-bar, so we might have to look at that. Maybe it's just out of misalignment. I don't know. The clutch actually feels really good though, so maybe I'll just forget about it. Looks like she's got a fresh starter on it. It's got the 3-bolt cast iron end on it. Pretty common with these manuals. Yeah, something's been leaking over that exhaust. Let's look at this exhaust. I think he said LMC. Could tuck up a little bit higher, not by much. If you had an automatic transmission pickup, I think you could get rid of that and then tuck it up quite a ways. New speedo cable, new park brake cables, these clamps. Yeah, I don't really like, shouldn't have to have that splice in there, but not a big deal. That hanger's kind of at an angle. Looks like it clears everything. Glass packs don't sound bad. You guys know I don't love glass packs. New hanger bearing, that's a good deal because they're kind of a pain. Ooh, oh, we'd have to double check, but I think they got, I think that's the vibration I was feeling. That's missing a cap there, or a spring in the cap, so probably be good to fix that. And then these U-joints are out of phase. We'll have to measure, turn that one level and then measure. Oh yeah, so that this one's level. And then look at this guy. She's a spline off. So that'll give us a pretty good vibration in our drive line. So take that whole drive shaft out, and then I think all we got to do is loosen that nut in there. But I think while we're at it, we're just going to knock a joint in it because it's missing that. We got to take it out anyway, so I'll just check all the joints. But see, that's a good thing to get her up on the lift. Yeah, that was an easy find. I've never put bushings in these torsion bars. They always seem, they don't look great, but they're functional. I love the way these things ride. This track arm suspension. These are great riding pickups. I hear they're terrible for pulling trailers. I wouldn't know. Maybe we'll find out. We should put a trailer on this thing. Is that what the people want to see? You guys want a lowered long box and me pulling a trailer around in it? 283 with a 3-speed. Ooh, that's some pretty light duty towing even for back in the day. But guys did it with 6s, so we could do that. We could haul a car behind this thing, slam her on the ground. That is the beauty of these things right here. You put a bag bracket up there. It's bolted in. There's a bolt here. These bolts are a pain to get out, but he already did that for us. Perfect. And then bag bracket up there. You can put an airbag in there. Super easy to bag these things, and then you do the same up front. And these are even easier than like my Impala because the shock is out here, so nothing really interfering. Got to cut the bump stops, but those are going away anyway. I must have did both upper ball joints. Ooh, looks like original brake hoses. Oh, hard to say, but yeah. Probably should replace those. He said the shocks are the stock travel and he thinks they bottom out, but I've never had a problem with shocks, but we probably should put some new ones on there and get some drop ones anyway. This hose looks like it's new though. I bet I got new ones laying around. Speaking of hose, oh, it's the light comes from up above to see this one. That looks original, so we should probably put a brake hose on there. Looks like he did all the wheel cylinders. I can't imagine he got away with putting wheel cylinders. He said he got this thing from a relative. Oh, he said he went through the rear end. Yeah, look at that. She's all painted up. It's too bad he didn't put a 5-lug when he was in here. Then you got so much more wheel options with the 5-lug. So yeah, and then he's got the shock relocation kit on here for when you drop them. So you can use stock shocks, but he didn't replace them. So we'll get some shocks for this thing as well. I don't know what he means by going through the rear end. I could ask him. I'm guessing he did all the brakes, but I don't know if he did bearings and seals or what, but it's weeping a little bit, so, but it doesn't look super wet. Same time, we should probably check that. Oh yeah, the pinion seal is definitely out. There's something to look for. The pinion seal flings it around, obviously, so if you look over here, but look at the exhaust, super close to the pinion, and it's and then our breather hose is just laying on our exhaust pipe. We should probably fix that, but yeah, definitely needs a pinion seal, which is fine, because once we get the drive shaft out, we'll do that. So I don't know what he meant by going through the rear, and he must have just meant brakes and opened it up and looked at it, dumped new grease in it. Oh yeah, let's continue on through the back. Taillight harnesses are all cut up from a trailer hitch. Super common. Straight out the back, pipes instead of going out the side. I'm fine with either one, but especially if you lower them, you want to go out the side, because look at how much further the bumper hangs down than the quarter panel, and then the pipe is under that, so it's hard on exhaust. I think that's 2.5. It sounds pretty all right. Got a bunch of rust jacking going on in the bumper, but I don't think it's too bad a shape. Structurally, I'd tow with that. She'd tow. Master guard bumpers. All right, I guess the next thing to do is pull the seat ahead or whatever and cap them lines off. The French is this, Wally? Is that a maraca? We should join a mariachi band. What's in here? Is it rice? Is it BBs? Is it aquarium rocks? Lead shot? Steel shot? Tungsten shot? Well, we gotta find out. Is it a pipe bomb?
Steel pipe bulges until it can no longer hold together. This explosion was filmed in extreme slow motion, 1 million frames a second.
Did the Unabomber send this? Ted Kaczynski. What an interesting character. Super high IQ. Alrighty, got that mess cleaned up down here. Let's go up top. Let's see what we can find. Wally gets a solid A- for trimming off his zip ties. He made a very good attempt to do it, but he didn't cut them flush. Step up your zip tie game, Wally. This is probably why it's never a good idea to sell anything to Mortske. It just picks your stuff apart. But so far, other than what was going on here. And to be fair, he told us. To be fair. Found a lot of things in cars, but a pipe bomb, that's a first. So I sent Wallace a text showing about the conundrum we had going on, and he immediately called me and said that, yeah, that one line was a return line for when he had fuel injection. So I got that capped off, just an AN fitting. So I got an AN plug for that. And the other one is for a vent. He said it goes up the A-pillar and then comes back down, and then he hooked it to, you guessed it, the pipe bomb, which had aquarium charcoal in it. So I guessed it pretty well. He said that's basically what your charcoal canister is under the hood. And that thing is, well, Wally, he's a bigwig at some compact equipment company. So I think he's got the engineering background. So he wasn't bluffing me. So we stuck that back up underneath there, and then we capped off that return. So maybe it's a sign we should put Holly Sniper or Phytech or something on here for fuel injection. I mean, the carbine's going through. It's already got the return line hookup, so be pretty easy. But anyway, yeah, we got the pipe bomb stuck back up here. I got some heavy duty zip ties on there. Flush cut them. Oh yeah, nothing but the finest fabrication. And it's tied up better than I think what he had. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere.
He's going nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
All right, old Mortske wanted us to test this fuel sending unit, and all the way down says it should be an empty tank. Gauge says it's empty. Move it all the way up to full. Gauge goes up to full. You do have to ground the sending unit to the tank, hook up the cord for the gauge to work. Go full. Empty. I did notice when I picked it up and shook it, sounds like there's some gas in it, so there must be a hole in it. So we can pull this one off. Ooh. And then there is one included with the new one, and that is way lighter. The weight is way different. There we go. Alright, got it replaced. I think it's in the right orientation, otherwise it'd probably hit the top of the tank. So slam that back in there. Let's see what the level says. Alrighty, all back together. Key on, almost full. So, have to run some gas out of it and see if it actually works.
I guess we found our hole.
Yeah. See?
Also learn a new trick today.
Huh? Yeah.
I don't know about you boys and girls, but these hubcaps just ain't cutting it for me. Good news is we picked up a bunch of slots, loose slots down at Pate. So I'm gonna get these crusty old tires off of these guys, and we're gonna put some new 275/60s on the rear, and probably take a pair of his fronts and put on these fronts and get them all mounted up and balanced, ready to go. So I just measured, these are a 15 by 7. So I wonder if the fronts are 6, maybe they're 7s all the way around. A lot of times they'll be marking on the back of them who made them and what size they are and what country of origin they are, but these ones weren't marked. We're gonna stick some new valve stems in here and slam these new Milestar 275/60s on there. All right, if you remember, the wheels that he had on there were not balanced, so we'll throw this on the balancer. This should be way more gooder than it was. That and the driveline being out of phase, gonna make a big difference. What do you think, Duff? How'd she look? I think that tire is a little big in the front, height-wise, and it can sit a little bit lower. But let's get some door handles on this thing, because this is getting kind of annoying. Even without thumbs, it would be difficult. All right, there we go. The little stutchins, or whatever they call them, seals, grommets behind the handles, they're missing, but good enough for a driver. Way easier than having to finger the hole. All right, go to the other side. Maybe find a window crank so we can take the locking pliers off there. We'll have her wrapped up. All right, you heard it. I can't stand the stance on this thing. So we're gonna split the ball joints, probably cut the bump stops out, and take a coil, maybe 2 out, just 1. We'll see. We'll try to refrain and only do 1 coil. It'll look so much gooder. All right, split that upper ball joint, which was nice because they already had put a new one in there. We should probably put a shock in there, but a lowered shock. We're gonna cut that bump stop off. And I think since this pigtail's so short, we're gonna go a coil and a half. All right, just gonna drop this thing back in there, button it all back up. Poor man's lowering kit. Tech tip, they install so much better when they're shorter. Oh yeah, forgot, we gotta cut that bump stop out of there first. Hold the phone. Don't have to worry about that bump stop getting in our way anymore. Still gotta hook up the sway bar and the shock, but before we do that, let's go do the other side. We'll get it on the ground and see how it sits before we tighten everything up. All right, got this side pretty much ready to go back together, but check this out. The shock mount is busted and been welded by Ronnie Millsap Welding and Fabrication. Stuck a little bolt in there to fill the gap. And not only that, but the bottom side, the eyelets are tore out and attempted to be welded up. This lower control arm's had a hard life. This should be perpendicular to the ground. She's tacoed back pretty good. Don't worry, buddy. You're gonna hit a lot more things now that you're lower. See, we're not ruining this truck. It was already ruined before I got it. You know, the cab's rusty and lower control arms are all bent up. We're just taking it to a whole new level of lowness around here. Well, she's low when you gotta get the floor jack to get her off the lift arms. Maybe should only went with one coil. We'll see. Oh my. Oh my. Is there any suspension left? No, that's all tire. That's all tire. We screwed up. By we, I mean me. Son of a biscuit. Looks good though. Ruh-roh. Let's see what we got going on underneath there. So here's what we're binding up on. The end of the sway bar is caught between the frame and the control arm. So let's take the sway bar off. We don't need that where we're going. That'll give us some clearance. And then we'll button everything back up and set her down and see what we got. Not a lot of exhaust clearance. I can tell you we don't got that. All right, springs are in place. Sway bar is out of place. I did have a pair of mystery shocks that appear to be the right-ish length. What's the worst thing that happens? We tear tabs off of our frame that needs welded up. I definitely didn't fix that. Let's go take her for a rip. It looks good. Needs to come down in the back now, but she sits about right up front. Maybe a bit much tighter, but we'll find out. Run her outside. See if I can find the Duff. Go for a rip. Got my right-hand man rounded up. The window crank was sitting on the dash for that side. Don't know why it was there. But we got that rounded up. Drove this thing around the yard looking for the Duff, and it didn't bottom out. Nothing scraped. Oh man. The brakes are good. Power steering, or lack thereof, is not. I do think you can take the power steering setup off of a square body and bolt pretty much right on here. Other than I think if this thing's a short water pump, which it most likely is, you gotta find a short water pump. Square body's never had the short water pumps, so you're worthless information of the day. Oh, gopher duck. We're gonna have to get the old 17 WSM out and play with that guy. This thing does have a good sounding exhaust. In case I haven't already stated it, I thoroughly enjoy a manual transmission, and a smooth shift in 3 on the tree is pretty freaking hard to beat. Just like a good dog. Cruising down the highway, 60 mile an hour, rides just like it did before. Gotta love the naysayers. You ruined it by lowering it. No, it rides just fine. Easier to get into, easier to load stuff in the back. Looks cooler, more aerodynamic, probably lower to the ground for that. I mean, you just can't go wrong with a lowered pickup. Toyota, what little 2-door convertible thing this Toyota did? Looks like a Miata. Wind noise, excellent today. I don't think the wind has stopped blowing for the last month. Good news is we got an inch of rain yesterday. Farmers are trying to get their planting done, so hopefully the wind dries it out a little bit for them. Steering wheel sits straight, doesn't pull going down the road. Real nice.
Really nice.
I don't know why everybody complains about lowered pickups. They drive terrible. They drive just fine. It's probably because of the Dwaynes out there that have never ridden in one and are just jealous of people who have really cool looking pickups such as this. I don't know, comment down below. What are we doing with this thing next? Put fuel injection back on it? Shorten the bed, patch the floors, carpet, seat cover, radio. Or do we just run the dog crap out of it the way it is? We do gotta do some.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
The camera took a little tumble there. We do have to address the bed floor. It's pretty bad, so I really don't like the sheet of plywood thing because it looks terrible and it's got that ledge every time you slide something in. But there is an entire full-length board that's missing, so gotta do something about that. I'm pretty sure if you blindfolded somebody and put them in this pickup, said you were riding in a 67 Chevrolet, and didn't tell them that it was lowered, they would never know the difference. And the best part is, it didn't cost us anything, a little bit of time. The springs were already in it. Oh, we didn't put some mystery shocks on there. So, I mean, that was a few bucks. I think the nitro drop shocks or whatever we've been putting on, Chin's got them. I can put them on a couple pickups. They're like 115 bucks for a pair, 57 bucks a piece, something I was looking on Amazon. Yeah, good stuff. I think that's the way we lowered that blue Suburban, we lowered the Blueser that way, lowered Chin's pickup this way, now this thing. I do have a notch kit for the back needs to come down, so I'm thinking about ordering like some 2-inch blocks for the back. So we'll get that down a little bit. And there's like 3.5 inches of travel back there, so we'll put the block kit in and drive it and see how it works. But for some reason I have two 63 to 72 C-notches sitting on the shelf. Don't ask me why. I don't even know what I've ever put one in. Maybe that 69 or 70 white GMC Longbed. But for some reason, we've got a couple to burn up, so we may as well lower this thing down and stick it in there. He's already got lowering springs in the back, so we'll just take the U-bolts out and get longer U-bolts and then a 2-inch block. I think Speedway sells a kit for like 70 or 80 bucks, something like that. And then we'll have new U-bolts to put in something else. But she definitely needs to come down in the back, get her nice and low. And the exhaust hangs down a bit, so we're probably gonna have have to take her to Boom Tube and get some different, either modify this stuff or put some different stuff on there. But we'll see. We can drive it the way it is. If it starts giving us fits, dragging on the ground, banging it up, then we'll have to address it. But that's the other problem with these kits, is they're meant for like stock application. They don't suck them up high and tight the way that Boom Tube or a good exhaust person would do. So like I said, this thing does sound good, and it was fine for the ride height that was at before, but we like our stuff low. We gotta modify the exhaust, which usually isn't a problem because we usually don't have anything that has good exhaust when we start. This thing does have a good sound to her. Alright, we're on a little county road, township road. It's not quite as smooth, so we'll see how she rides. Got her up to cruising speed, legal cruising speed. See, just fine. Head ain't banging the roof, not bottoming out, not scraping, no bump steer. Perfect. Don't get me wrong, you can't hit the speed humps and the railroad tracks at full speed, but you probably shouldn't be doing that in your stock suspension either. Let's be honest, you gotta be a little bit plan ahead, smart, wise, conscious. I don't know. Driving lowered vehicles is, you can't be a complete idiot, which unfortunately there's a lot of out there these days. Alright, here's our local rough tracks. We'll hit them at about 15. Just fine. We were actually at like 17 mile an hour. It's fine. It's fine. Lower vehicles, they're great. They're awesome. They're easy for your old dog to get into. They're easy for old men like me, fat guys. So easy to load the back end. One thing sucks is working on them. They don't get underneath them. I'll give that. The jacked up four-wheel drives are better for that. But the price you gotta pay to look this cool. Right, Duff? Yeah. When I did have it on the lift, I noticed there's a massive oil leak on the right front above the coil spring, so I don't know if that's residual oil from before, or if the oil pan's leaking, or a valve cover gasket, maybe the fuel pump, maybe it just died. Definitely did just die. The Quadrajet works pretty good, but it's not flawless. That seems to be where it gives you issues, is when you got it up to operating temp and then you come to a stop and it just doesn't ride. Going down the road, it's pretty good. Acceleration, it's not bad. What do you think though? Huh? This thing a keeper, or should we let it go? I don't know. I really like this color combo. The slots are good. It's got a good seat, good steering wheel. Stance needs a little work. It's got good exhaust. This thing's pretty good. But as always, price and availability in the video description. I really don't want to sell it, but put a price down there. Everything's for sale, not on sale. Alright, made her back. No issues on Duff. Oh man, that thing looks good. Yeah, gotta come down a little in the back. Otherwise not bad. Yeah? What do you think? Good stuff? Farmers must be spreading some fertilizer. Seen a few tenders go by. It's got the right stickers on the back. I think a little trim, this thing would be pretty good. Maybe fix the rocker in the cab corner and blend it in. But maybe not. I don't know. This color and patina on this thing is freaking great, especially with them slots. I can't find any center caps that are the right ones. These ones originally, it looks like they were bolted on with 3 little tiny, like a 10/32 screw. So I don't know if somebody knows what these wheels are. There's no markings on them. Kind of like to get some caps on it, but I don't hate it. It's pretty good. No, I was just bragging about how we're not ruining pickups and lowered pickups drive great and all that. I don't think this thing likes being lowered. I tried to go run and get ice cream in Wickerwood last night and made it about 10 miles. Lost oil pressure. Slowed down, checked things out, full of oil. She's clattering real bad in the bottom end. So I limped her back. We got to pull this 283 out and see what happened and find something different to put in it, because it's no bueno. Not what I want to do today was an engine swap, but it's just a small block Chevy. Nothing great about it. Wally told us this was the original one and it was locked up at one point and it's just kind of thrown together, so we didn't have high expectations for it. But I was hoping we'd get more than, you know, the 150 miles or so we put on it, but such is life. The joy of buying old junk. All right, let's rip into this thing and get her out of there. All right, got everything pretty much wrapped up top. Just gonna lift her up in the air and take out the miserable 6772 engine mount bolts and bell housing bolts and the starter. That should be about it. Didn't find too many surprises. There was a overflow hose with a splice in it, ran over to a jug over here. Oh, there's the jug and there's the splice. I don't know where you get this purple silicone, but it was used about everywhere. I think the temp sender is supposed to be in the heads on these, but they had it up there. There's some real ugly, nasty plugs like in the back of the carburetor. Anyway, just pinched off some lines instead of getting the correct plug. Old Wally cutting corners. Oh, the fan. I gotta show you the fan. So they make 2 different bolt pattern fans. So he didn't have the right fan, but he made it the right fan. Just slotted them out. Tech tip. When you're buying a new water pump, get a water pump for a 1963 Corvette. Oh, he got the right one. It's got both bolt patterns. He just didn't have the right pulley to go with the fan and the spacer. So we'll see if we can find the right fan. He didn't do the worst job of hacking the fan up, but didn't do the best job either. Should be riding on that pilot in the center on the spacer that I can't find right there, so it should be fine. But yeah, looks like some old blue fuel line. Like I said, here's an example. The plugs just pinched off a line. Did the same thing on the radiator back here. I don't know how that didn't leak. So what you're supposed to do there is that's supposed to go to the heater core, and then the other one I think to the water pump. So this engine had one coming out of the intake manifold, so he used those two. And what he should have done is just cap that guy off with a plug like that plug or that plug. So yeah, otherwise not too bad. There was a wire going to the electric choke that wasn't crimped very well, but other than that, oh, there should be a stud on the front of this intake for the alternator bracket. And since he used a later model, this is actually a factory GM aluminum quadrajet intake. Big money item. He just made a little angle iron bracket right there to clamp his alternator. Right here. Not the worst thing I've ever seen. But yeah, other than that, oh, and then it's got these tall, ugly valve covers on it. And he couldn't use the stock 283 ones because he didn't have a breather because he got rid of his intake, so he had to put ugly valve covers on it. And they're tall, so the alternator didn't have any adjustment left. It was like bashing against that valve cover. But anyway, not too bad. Not too bad. Had a good ground going to the body. Had a real nice ground going to the frame here. So everything's pretty good on the electrical side. All right, let's lift her up in the air. Pull that stuff. Tech tip of the day. Told you guys a million times, get one of these giant totes. Saves a mess. I know I still spilled a little bit. Would have been a lot if I wouldn't have had that Rubbermaid tote there. Real good for catching big spills. All right, lift her up. Got all the stuff on the bottom and we're ready to pull this thing out. I started about 9:30, it's 10:30, so an hour, not bad. I'd say we'd make it as a tech in 1967. Probably not in 2024 or whatever it is though. New stuff, scary. Wires and metrics and rust. Ugh. All right, she's an oily mess. If only we had a pressure washer. Didn't got time for that. So I think we're gonna pull our clutch and flywheel out because we're gonna need that. And manifolds, we're gonna need those, engine mounts, probably the short water pump stuff. But anyway, we gotta figure out why this thing's making noise. It's probably that Napa 1061 filter. We can't make fun of Napa Todd anymore because he's now nursing home Todd. Oh, we need to take the Z-bar bracket off. Anyway, we got a few things we gotta rob off this, but first we're gonna get that clutch and flywheel off, put her on the lift, and dig into it, eh, Duff? Yeah. Oh, where's the starter? I did notice that one of the ears is busted off on the starter right there, so I might try to find a nose cone because that's an actual threaded hole. That bolt comes in from the back side, and now would be the time to fix it. Looks like she's a reman, so things to fix. Let's get this thing apart because there's no fixing to the 283. Not for us. It's good core for somebody. Oh, and they use exhaust gaskets. Peasants. At least they didn't use the China wall gaskets, right, Duff? I don't know if this camera's gonna pick it up, but there is a lot of metal in that oil. Shouldn't be hard to find which bearing's wiped out. I think I got pretty much everything off of here that we're gonna need, but we're gonna tear this thing down so we know what happened, because everybody wants to know. No other big surprises. I did look for a nose cone, or Mojo did, and he found a starter that's better shape than the one that we got. So I think we're just gonna open her up, check, make sure all the brushes and bushings are good, and we'll probably throw that one on there. And this will be good enough for a spare with that busted ear, but I was hoping we could find an old rusty, crusty one and swap nose cones so that the thing would be good as new. So he said this thing was stuck when he got it, and the cam was stuck, or the distributor gear, or something. But yeah, she's pretty freaking rusty in there. He must have slid some new lifters, maybe a new camshaft in it. But yeah, I'm guessing a lot of that debris ended up down in the oil pan. So we'll have to investigate further. Yeah, look at how rusty that catch can is for our road draft tube. Yuck. The lifters look new, and the push rods. Keep digging, see what we find. All right, Chin's doing some grinding in the background, so you guys have to deal with that, but let's take a look at what we're gonna put in this thing. The donor, per se. So this is a small block and a turbo 350. Obviously, well, not obviously, but we're gonna keep the 3-speed in that thing because it seems like it works, and I like it. A friend of ours, guy we used to work with, Corey, bought a pickup, LS swapped it, and never really drove it. He said, sounded good. The guy said there was a stuck valve or a lifter or something, so of course we're gonna throw it in and find out. But it's got the long water pump stuff in it, so we either need to convert the wiring for the alternator over here or convert it to short. I haven't determined what we're gonna be doing there. We might clean it up, but probably not. But we got to get all this smog stuff, the manifolds. Yeah, we got to pull the carburetor off. It's already got HEI. Just, oh yeah, we got to convert to manual transmission. But everything's there. I think I gave him $450 for this. So for a running, driving, small block, automatic, it's pretty good. He even brought us a fan and the air cleaner. Plumbing for that, and left the radiator hose on it. That Corey, he's a good kid. I think he brought us the gas pedal and linkage or cable or something too later on. Anywho, that's what we're gonna do. 350, 76-ish model, unless it was upgraded. All right, let's get this split and ripped apart. What a good kid. Even taped up the old quadrabog for us. Electrical tape, not even duct tape. We may not know all the history on this small block, but look at this kickdown cable for the old Turbo 350. She's been real warm, like beyond warm, all the way down into there. So, must have been a pretty good fire, or this thing somehow arced across battery cable. Anyway, ready to slide the tranny off, and then we can finish taking all these accessories off. So these manifolds got to go because they're different. Flex plates got to go because we're going to flywheel because manual transmission. Power steering can go because we don't have the bracketry. And the one thing, you go from short water pump to long. The short water pump's over here and the long is over here. So we'll have to do a little bit of rewiring if we are to run this. So that's kind of the big dilemma on converting that thing there. And then our water pump is going to be different, so we're going to have a little bit different radiator hose, but I think we can just shorten the one we got. Top radiator hose stays the same, but I like this bracket a lot better than what Wally had cobbled together, so I think we'll try to go with the long, and then we'll just have to rewire that alternator. Hopefully we got room for a fan. If not, I guess we got to pull the water pump and alternator and replace that lower pulley, but if not, we can just pull power steering pump off, clean everything up, and run it. All right, I stuck a pilot bushing in it so I didn't forget. Time for a little pressure wash action. Birthday boy's up there doing race car things on the lift. Riveting stuff.
It's gonna be good.
Except for you can't get to the button to go up and down.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry. Minor details.
Just get it down.
Yeah. Down is not a problem when it's all the way down. Mojo's good at tearing stuff apart, so he ripped into the old 283. And we found the culprit. The bearings are wiped out. There's a nice big groove in the camshaft or the crankshaft, so I wonder if he just had that turned. Anyway, she needs an overhaul. They got a pretty good ring ridge. I don't know if you can see it. I'll put some light on the subject. You'll take my word for it. It's junk, huh, Mojo?
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, guess we'll upgrade it. Are they already 40?
20s.
20s? Crank needs polishing, cylinders need bored. The lifters don't look terrible, but I'm sure with all that crap that went through there, couldn't have done them any good. So we'll throw it back together and list it as a core. All right, gonna put the flywheel on here. And you're supposed to have these special star washers. Wally, I don't think that was a special star washer. Anyway, I think they use the same washers between the flywheels and flex plates. So hopefully, oh yeah, here we go. We'll even throw that one away. Don't put flex plate bolts in, or don't put flywheel bolts in place of a flex plate. They'll rub on the back of the motor and cause a chirping noise when you fire it up. Don't ask me how I know. I'm sure a few other people have done it. It happens. I didn't do it. I bought an engine that somebody else had done it to and then put it in the vehicle and got it running. So that was fun to pull back out. All right, I'm gonna torque these down. This is one thing that I do like to use a torque wrench on, because you don't want these mother truckers coming loose on you and having to pull a transmission or engine to snug them back up. So we'll torque those down. We'll align our clutch, torque those down, and then I think this thing's ready to drop in. I'll put engine mounts on it, and that's about it. We're gonna put all the accessories and manifolds on it when she's in the engine bay. Well, Duff, the saga continues. Check this out. I don't know how much end plate you're supposed to have on a small block Chevy, but 75 thou we measured it as. Mojo says it's excessive. So, I don't think we want to waste our time putting this thing in there. So once we get the 283 put back together, we'll throw that in the stand and check it out. So our other option is blower motor or a little sprint car engine. So I don't know what we're gonna do. Or we open this up and see if we got any bearings on the shelf to throw in it. And it's 5 o'clock on Thursday. So I don't know what else I got for motors laying around. Pull a motorhome apart. There's a square body back there with an OK one that had a manual. That was a whatever, like a 76 4-wheel drive 3/4 ton with a 4-speed. Yeah, great. Buying used motors, awesome. We got a 283 that's got way too much compression that we can't get to run that great, so that's not an option. I really want to do that blower motor, but then our exhaust is null and void, or we got to run manifolds, which I ain't scared, but they say that's gotta get heat out on a blower motor, so it'd probably be with the zoomies. Then we got to figure out electric fan, and then we got to figure out our fuel system. So yeah, I just, and then I fear for the life of that poor little 3-speed, and I like that thing. So no blower motor and a 3-speed. Comment down below if you want to see us do it in another video. on another car, because I don't want to grenade the 3-speed in this thing, because it all works so good. All right, I'll let you know what we find. All right, let's take old Corey crankshaft here and pull his oil pan. See what he's got going on underneath his underpants. I'm guessing we're gonna find the rear main bearing is not so good. Well, I am no expert, but I found some issues. So like I said, this main bearing is what controls your end play, I believe. You can see how much movement we got going on in there. But also, I was like, you know, can all that back and forth play do some damage? Everything looks pretty good up here. But look at this counterbalance. It's even rusty. That has been running up against the block for a long while. And that means there's a bunch of metal from that went into that probably got pushed through everything. It's your typical high mile motor. It ain't all sludgy in the bottom of the pan. Really hardly any at all. But she's definitely seen a few revolutions over the years. Well, I guess we ain't out nothing to pull that main bearing apart, see how that looks. I doubt I got one, but for the curiosities, we'll rip into her. You can see how much it wore into this bearing. It actually tore a chunk loose. There's still a lot of material there, so I don't know if this crank is machined improperly or what, but I expected this to be almost gone, those shoulders. You can see it's hardly ever even touched there, but this side she's really been cramming against it. I think I found our issue. Hey, we got screwdrivers back in stock. We even got some new blue ones if you're into that. The old Mortske flicking device. It's also the Mortske pointing device. So this is our crankshaft. These are the two surfaces that bearing rides against, the thrust bearing. You can see the old bearing, or the bottom bearing down there. But look at this, I don't know if you can see that surface. It's just gone on that crankshaft, completely wiped out. So, we could put a crankshaft in this thing. It's already been turned once, 10, and there's nothing they can do there, so that crankshaft is garbage. I wonder if there's a date on this. Some of them got the date. 3202? Eh, probably not. Anyway, there's not much fixing this thing without going to the machine shop, so crankshaft Corey got us. I'm gonna have a sandwich and do some thinking and drinking and see what we got for other options. Got a 283 sitting over here. Came out of that 63 Impala. I feel like that's too nice of a motor for this thing. We got some race car small blocks. We got the old blower, but I think that would destroy the 3-speed. What to do? What to do? Well, our luck with the small blocks is not going well, but I'm down to my last option. I got an old derby car engine that's been hot and ran hard and everything else. We're gonna pressure wash that one and just throw it in there. Oh, Rex putting in work here. Looks like we got a spark plug to put in and a temp sender. And apparently one of the core plugs got knocked out, so we gotta put one of them in there. Yeah, she's greasy, grimy race car engine. I stole the HEI, so I dropped in some old cast iron, like a 265 distributor in there. It's got a 2-barrel intake, so we either got to swap that or find a 2-barrel. It's already got the short water pump and pulleys, so that part's solved. Yeah, this thing has seen some stuff. She's won me a lot of money over the years. Used to run this thing in S10 pickups a lot. Borrowed it out to the big Schultz brother one time, and he ran her out of water. Borrowed it to Pookie, and he had got the carburetor ripped off one time. So it's had a hard life, and it's not about to get any easier. All right, let's get her all cleaned up. Well, I wasn't able to dig up a front inlet Rochester 2 barrel that I believe is any good. And I don't have a kit on the shelf, so we're gonna swap intakes. So Chin's out back, pressure wash on the replacement. Wait till you see this bad boy. She's a aftermarket bow tie mid-rise, 4 barrel, spread bore, cast iron, kind of a weird deal. Rojo, Mojo Jr. sent it down. He said we'd find a home for it. Sure enough, we're gonna stick this thing in here. Hopefully it doesn't screw up our linkage or clearance between the hood or whatever, but I got some gaskets on hand. I'm gonna get this one ripped off. Like I said, Chin's washing that one up. I'm gonna get some super scraper action. We got them on stock right now, in stock, whatever. Had the SS1, my favorite. The SS5 standard, pretty good. And the SS5 short, my second favorite. We don't have any of the SS2s right now, but they're available on mortske.com. Go check it out. We got caps, sweatshirts, everything but Dickie shorts on there right now. So get yours. All right, I'm gonna get to ripping this thing apart. Guess we're gonna need the old HEI out of the 283 as well, or the other junk 350. I did get the freeze plug installed. You can tell it's a derby car thing. We just gutted the center of the thermostat, and also we put the black silicone all over the spark plug wires, so when you get hit from the side, it don't knock your spark plug wires off. Your derby car tech tips of the day. All right, take a look at the inside of this thing. I'm pretty sure this came out of a grain truck. I think we parted out many moons ago, probably 15 years ago. And it's been in derby cars ever since. Look at the inside. There is no grease, no grime, no dinginess, no nothing. They did put the China wall gaskets in. Somebody's been in there because it's got aftermarket Felpro gaskets in it. But yeah, the thing is beautiful in there. I don't know why we didn't just use this one from the start. Alrighty, let's throw our intake gasket on there. Once the old machine shop gets done with her here. How's that super scraper working?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Oh, they used all the RTV on this thing.
Pretty good.
They're on there. Yeah, mine just freaking peeled right off.
Yeah, these are, the corners are
blue. They gotta be Felpros, don't they? We're gonna say they're Felpro. They identify as trash now, but
Delcos.
alrighty. Well, I guess I'll go pull the harmonic band or the flex plate off while I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
Slow poke.
Sounds good.
Yeah, mine looks way better than mine first one. All right, we got our clutch linkage bracket, Z-bar, pivot stud thinger on there, engine mounts, filter. Don't let me forget to put oil in it. Flywheel, clutch is aligned. Distributor's dropped in, probably 180 off, but it's in there. Let's put this thing in place. That's one thing I like about automatics is they just kind of go into place, where manuals, you just kind of fight them. So we're gonna fight it. All right, we're just about ready to fire this thing up. We only had one small catastrophe, spilling antifreeze everywhere because I forgot to put the temp sender in the head. But other than that, everything went pretty swimmingly. Move the heater hose up here to the radiator where it's supposed to be. Plug the one on the intake there, put a nice clean thermostat housing in it, new thermostat, new gasket. And got the right size belt on here because we got the valve cover now with some clearance. We got a regular return spring bracket. I think he just had it wrapped around a bolt or something before. Yeah, new rubber hose there, new vacuum hose. I'm sure timing's gonna be 180 degrees off, and all kinds of other things. Definitely didn't put a new fuel pump on it, or new plugs or wires or cap or rotor or anything. But we got DB over here. Got these mags looking slicker than a minnow. Look at that. So shiny. You're gonna be here all night.
Yep.
Look at you. Brought your polish and a tire.
Heck yeah.
Your open toe, steel toes. All right, I'm gonna drizzle a little gas in this carburetor. Oh, actually there was still gas in it. Let's see if this thing lights off. Slingshot engaged.
Slingshot engaged.
Hooked up to our distributor. Definitely getting fuel. Should have compression. So, must be something with spark, and that was the distributor we were just using. All right, give her a whirl. See if we got spark. Okay. Definitely got spark. We can't get a pop, a fart, nothing. All right, let's find top dead center. Go from there. Even if the distributor was 180 off, we should get some type of popping and farting. Pookie was the last person to drive this thing, so maybe he grenaded it. Broke the timing chain. A little bit of condensation in there. You know what? Let's just pull all the spark plugs out. They're easy to get out. And pull the water out of them. I'm sure the pressure washing didn't help them out. We'll be back in a bit. These plugs were all just drenched. I'm sure it wasn't because the exhaust being open. All right, crank her over. Keep going. All right. Nothing, a bunch of water in there, so I think we throw some different, better-ish spark plugs in there. These things don't look great. And she'll fire right up. Right, DB?
Yep.
All right, DB's gonna go fix the neighbor lady's golf cart, so I'm all on my own. Except for that guy without any thumbs. You ready to go for a ride? Okay, I'll get some spark plugs. I'm sure they're fine in that 283. Fresh set of used R44 T's out of the old the excessive end play 350, because the 283 has the washer style plugs and these have the taper style plugs, so can't use the ones out of the 283 if you didn't catch that. All right, now she's gonna fire right up. We're gonna adjust timing and have to run to town, find somebody to help me put a hood on. Duff, that majestic beast, is hanging out with my daisies out there. Daisies? Lilies. I think they're lilies. They're in bloom. My tree's still dead though. Duff's loving the green grass. All right, let's do this. Here's something I was pondering. I didn't hook up the other wire on the other side of the starter for giving the coil 12 volts when you crank it over, because you don't need that on an HEI ignition. And I was wondering, I figured he'd bypass that because there's a new wire running out here, so I think he just spliced the old wire. But I'm guessing that is a resisted wire, or has an internal resistor or an inline resistor. And I bet we're not getting 12 volts at the distributor when it's getting cranked over. So I think we need to run a new wire into the cab and then hook it up to the fuse panel. There's a ignition unfused in there. Hook up to that guy, and I bet she'll light right off. Maybe, we'll see. Or we could try sending 12 volts straight to the distributor. It probably worked fine before, but we're trying to make things better here, right? And I don't know if that backfired because we're 180 off or what, but yeah, we got some figuring to do here. Sure enough, he just took the brown and yellow ignition wires, factory ones, and twisted them together and terribly attempted to put this ignition connector on there and then tied in the choke wire to it. So it was pulling way more than it should. I'm not saying that's going to fix it, but we can make it better. So now I got a jumper wire going to the battery. Let's give her the old cranky crank, see what happens. I think we're 180 off. We definitely got more spark now though. Woo! All right, I'm gonna do a little playing around here. Double check that we got top dead center. Maybe the timing's just off a little bit, but I think we're 180 off. So probably pull the distributor out, spin her 180, drop her back down. All right, dropping it in didn't go as well as I'd hoped. I feel like we're a couple cogs off, but let's see what happens. Let me hook our coil wire back up. I feel like it's a tad late. So let's advance it here. Got good oil pressure. Let's try to turn the idle. What kind of frickin' screw is that? Quaderbog, 1/4 inch. Burning a little oil off the manifolds. I don't hear any strange noises or big exhaust leaks or anything like that, so I think we're good. That isn't what I wanted to do. Well, actually runs pretty good. I think we got to play with timing a little bit, but we're going to get a few heat cycles in it first. What we got to do now is run a new wire from the HEI into the cab and hook it up to that ignition unfused blade on the fuse relay center, or the fuse panel, whatever you want to call it. It's already set up for it, but make sure you're getting 12 volts to your electronic ignition. Doesn't matter if it's a Pertronics or GM HEI. Yeah, Mopar likes to do silly things, but I think Ford likes 12 volts too. But anyway, if you convert a points ignition to an HEI, points usually has a resistor in there. It's like 9-10 volts. Get rid of that resistor so you're getting direct 12 volts. And in these pickups, the easiest way to do it is to run a wire straight from your HEI down to the fuse panel. You'll see a spade that says ignition unfused. It's unfused, but at least it's 12 volts, what you need. The more you know. All right, I ran a yellow wire because I think that's what color it's supposed to be, and hooked it to the red wire because I didn't want to put a new end on it to clip on here because it's got the right end with the safety clip. I see our valve cover gasket's leaking, so we'll definitely forget about that. And also, I see, well, I may have caused it, putting that pipe thread fitting in, but it's starting to weep around this intake, and it looks like somebody has ground on it before, so maybe that was why Rojo wanted to get rid of it. But I think we can grind it out a bit, maybe JB weld it, or I don't know what we can do, but we can definitely find a way to patch that cast iron. I would sure think. Other than that, it's pretty good. Check this out. I'll show you what I did here in case you gotta put HEI on a 6772. So right there where the yellow wire is, there's two spades that says ignition unfused below it. And of course I rubbed the ignition unfused part off with my thumb. But anyway, you get the gist of it. And here's the best part. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. 12 volts. Boom. I ran it through where the oil pressure line's going through, so already an existing hole in the firewall. I'm gonna grommet there. And then also I took a butt connector and crimped it over those two existing wires, for old wires for the coil, so they're basically abandoned now, but they can't touch anything and cause a fire or anything else. Backfeed the ignition or what have you. So, yeah, I think we're ready for a test drive. I'm gonna wash my hands, see if I can find somebody in town with opposable thumbs, get a hood on this thing. Or we just rock it without the hood. Who cares? I feel like we should put a timing light on it, but we won't. We'll put an air cleaner on it though. I did hear a little flutter through the exhaust, so I don't know if that's these terrible plugs and wires that are in this thing, or this engine's not any good, but we're just gonna rock it. All right, let's get ready for a test drive. Did somebody say test drive? There's my buddy. You ready to do this thing or what? If we hustle, maybe we can get ice cream. Probably not. Look who decided to show up and help me put a hood on. God, this thing is way too nice to be out here. Oh, it's got white letters though.
Yeah, you don't like white.
69? 68. Well, I should have just read the license plates. What do they call that color? You don't even know like the number? It's not like
It's not
E11?
It's not the original number.
Oh, it's not numbers matching.
It is not numbers matching.
Dang it.
But that's it.
The motor, transmission, are all numbers matching.
Duff says it's unacceptable.
Duff, you look mean. Come here. Oh.
You trying to imitate the horn?
I'll bring
Meep,
you
meep. All right, you gotta help me put a hood on.
All right. Oh, look at that.
And it's still open.
Look at the lines on it even.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, okay. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Clean, headed back to town. As you can see, it's dark. We don't usually go for test drives when it's dark out. And guess what showed up in the mail? This thing sits too high in the back. So I think it's Hillbilly Auctions. eBay was like 75-ish bucks. Brand new U-bolts, 2-inch lowering block, made in USA. Speaking of that, America. If you're a Sargent County resident, vote yes on number 1. Gives a $500,000 increase money to the Sargent County Museum. Give you a quick museum update. We had our first meeting of the year earlier this week. I was selected to be the vice president, so either got to die to get off that board, or I need to find somebody to replace it. So I brought the average age of the museum board down significantly. So update on that. I tore down the old, or what was left of the building last fall. They did the dirt work, and hopefully next week Foltz Buildings will start putting the building up, and then they're gonna concrete it out and all that good stuff. Hopefully September, October, they'll be moved back in there, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, Sargent County residents, vote yes on number 1. It'll be a slight tax increase on your real estate taxes, but it goes to a great cause, and it's underfunded. They're about $70,000 short. This mill increase is just to cover costs, maintaining the place and electricity and internet and all that stuff. It doesn't go to this. Not a remodel, replacement of the building. But so anyway, they have a GoFundMe, or hit me up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. I can tell you how to get in touch with the museum if you'd like to donate. And thank you to all those who have donated. It's really cool when people donate and put our name in there. Mosquitoes are back. You know what's back? Lowering trucks. Let's get this thing lowered. It's getting late. And yeah, let's do this. So that is your update on the Sargent County Museum. Go check it out if you're ever in Foreman, North Dakota. It's pretty freaking fantastic. All right, let me show you what we got going on back here other than some really shiny slots. But DB's got to come back. Got to finish the other two. I think we ran out of polish anyway. So, truck arm suspension.
Year was 1960. I was recruited by Eds out of Detroit to come up with a new suspension program to put their chassis back on the map
and introduce it on their 1963 model year C10 Chevrolet pickup. Hence, the name Truck Arm was born.
It's got 2 trailing arms, coil springs, track bar. What we're gonna do, take these U-bolts out. These things get rusted in these truck arms real bad. So if you got a set of these and you gotta take them out, just torch them here and put an impact on the bolt, or what's left of the U-bolt, and spin it out. Best way to do it. Thankfully, somebody's been in here. Wally has. I think he said he swapped this rear end or went through it. But anyway, we should just be able to take these 2 loose, knock that bolt out, and then we'll do the same on the other side, obviously. Lift the rear end up, put those spacers in there, new U-bolts, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Shouldn't change the geometry on the shocks. One thing to look out for is make sure your scrub angle, which is if you get a flat tire, that the rim still touches the ground before any of this stuff does. So I think we'll be all right with just 2 inches. All right, let's do this. Hopefully we don't need a notch, but we might be close. We might be cutting some bump stops, but we can always put it back the way it was too. Just bolt on stuff. All right, let's get to work. Check that stuff out. Made in the USA. I like that when people take pride in their work. America. We need to get back to them times. All right. Let's get these swapped in there. Oh. There we go. Maybe doing one at a time by the looks of things. All right, there we go. This is like, even recording, it says 19 minutes. So, and that was dragging tools back and forth. These 67 to 72 is great platform for lowering. Bolt in some springs, easy peasy. Bolt in some blocks, or vice versa, or put them all together. Like I said, I think we're gonna be low enough where we're gonna need to put a notch in, but I do have some notches to put in. But these things, super great to work on. Easy, quick, ride great. Parts are available. Duff's out back barking his head off at ghosts, who knows what. So yeah, good to go. It looks like we are hanging below our scrub angle, which I don't like, but we just won't drive on flat tires. All right, let's get this thing on the ground, see how she looks. Oh yeah! Still got a bunch of suspension travel left. That's the other beauty of these 2-inch blocks. Measured right here, it's gonna be 2 inches no matter what. Like a 2-inch lowering spring, a lot of times isn't 2 inches. Blocks, you get what you get. I gotta roll this thing out the lift so I can take a look at it. Sit back, appreciate my work. What do you think, Duff? Looks pretty good. We'll have to get her out in the morning. Go for a test drive. Check her out in the daylight. Frickin' mosquitoes. We go from snow to skeeters in 48 hours. Just kidding, we haven't had snow in 48 hours, but anyway, see you in the morning. All right, we are back bright and early the next morning. We're gonna take this thing for a rip, run her over to the big city of Jokes and have some breakfast at the Sisters Cafe and get Chin some footage. But for that, shameless merch plug. I put out a video on Friday for the second channel, unloading, coming back from Oklahoma. And I announced that we got these, Puddins and I, we got these meet and greet, what do you call them, flyer? We were signing these down in Austin, Texas, and I got a bunch of these things. And the only way that I can think of shipping these things without screwing them up is to roll them up with a banner. So if you buy a banner, I will autograph this thing and we will send it to you with your banner. So if you buy a banner, until these things run out. It's too early in the morning, my alarm clocks are still going off. But anyway, like I said, if you place an order for a banner, I will ship you one of these flyers from the Lone Star Roundup with Puddin' and I will autograph it. You won't, because he's not here. But anyway, we got that. We got scrapers back in stock. We got screwdrivers back in stock with some new colors. And we got the patches. Patches O'Houlihan here. So go get all that great stuff at mortske.com. We got that. We got more. We got Meg Dennett can koozies. We got sweatshirts. We got beanie caps, we got ball caps. We got the softest t-shirts that any YouTuber sells. Guaranteed, once you buy one, you'll never want to wear anybody else's stuff. They're the softest. They're amazing. They're next level. Tri-blend. It's like getting a nice, warm, cinnamony hug from a gal named Tiffany at the Gentleman's Club. What else we got? We got decals. We got air fresheners. You name it, we got it. If we don't got it, you don't need it. Ooh, fender covers. If you got something with real nice paint like this, we got Mortske repair fender covers. All right, get the camera set up. Get the dog rounded up. He's making his morning lap around the yard to make sure no critters moved in or bad guys or whatever that he does, rolling in stuff, looking for fresh fecal matter, finding wood ticks, all those good things. We're gonna take this thing for a rip. It's gonna work flawlessly. Yes, it's gonna work flawless. Because I am tired. This has been a long week of doing things on this pickup. Now to see if I can find my dog. There he is. Go for a ride. I'm gonna roll your window up. Come on. Don't. Your nose is so wet, and I don't know if that's poop or what. Yeah. I know. You're excited to go for a ride in this thing. These things should be pretty good, hopefully. So I guess I've been meaning to get this across, but there's certain individuals and YouTubers that are all about, you gotta cut every ounce of rust out, and you got to rebuild every suspension bushing and every brake line. And every wire and replace the fuel tank and new exhaust. You don't got to do that. Rust is fine. If it's not structural, let it eat. Worn out 350s, they're fine. Used wheels, 3-speed on the column, just run them. You don't have to have a LS and a 4L60E and a 12-volt posi. Just use the junk 308 open and the 3-speed manual and the 350 you got. If you want to upgrade to that stuff later, do it. Just like Freiberger says, don't get it right, just get it running. And this thing's got a bunch of rust in it. It's missing trim. The seat's got tears in it. It ain't got a radio. But guess what? I get more freaking compliments on this pickup sitting in the shop or driving it around than I do in any of my late models. That's for dang sure. And something like, I don't know, there's people against the Patina, but let's all be honest, Patina's here. I don't know if it's here to stay, but it's definitely a cool thing. And I like it. I can throw my dog in it. I can cruise it down the road, get bugs on it. I can leave it outside. I can drive it down gravel. It's pretty awesome having something with a old paint. Because new paint's silly expensive. It's hard to find somebody to do it. And you know, all that stuff that's related to it. Duff just wants some pets this morning, apparently. But what I'm getting at, don't be afraid of the rusty project pickup or the rusty pickup. They ain't got to be rust free. And you don't have to fix all the rust when you buy one. I would never fix the roof in this pickup. I'm just going to run it as is. Maybe I'll fix the floors. Maybe I'll do the rockers and cab corners, but probably just the floors. And not even fix them right, just put some patches over them. Come on now, your nails scratched. You got to go to the spa. Just go into the dog spa on Monday. Anyway, we got gobs of oil pressure, no strange noises. This thing just sails down the road. So yeah, I think I'll check back in at Chin's and wrap this thing up. This thing seems like it's working great. It's pretty loud in here. Fixing the floors, put some Dynamat, some carpet will go a long ways. It's got new door seals in it. I think this thing will be pretty good. I checked all the lights, they work. The wipers work. This thing's gonna be a good driving little pickup now, hopefully. Got a couple things to dial in, but we got her lowered, we got wheels and tires. That's the most important thing. Oh, I got an alignment set up for it next week too. That being said, I think I paid like $250 for the wheels. Got some new lug nuts on it from the lug nut guys. I think those tires are like $150 a piece. The motor I had laying around, intake was donated. Got a few bucks in gaskets and a belt. The float had a pinhole in it in the center. Fixed that. Those parts came with it. The seat I had laying around from Mickelson, plus the seat that was in it, got stuck in my other rig in the rollback. Stay tuned for videos on that. So really, I would say, I mean, I paid $4,500 for the pickup. I would say we are well under. I got like $70 in the lower and the rear end, and had to buy door handles that it didn't really need, but they were $20 to the swap meet. So I mean, we're well under $5,500 into this thing. And this thing's a pretty fun little pickup. Like I said, I could use a few more things or just drive it as is. Wally was driving this thing the way it was. So that being said, I'd like to take this thing a little bit further, but as always, price and availability in the video description. Don't cry because I'm asking more than $5,500 because I feel like I got a good deal on this pickup, and I feel like I'm not going to work for free. So yeah, and I really don't want to get rid of it because long beds are awesome. Unless you make them into a short bed, and then they're even more awesome. Alright. Check back in a little bit. And we're definitely not going to have any issues driving the 25 miles. More than 25 back. Alright, we are cruising into the big city of Jokes. Got good oil pressure. Temp has barely come up. I think we're going to call this one a success. So, always, thank you very much for watching. Check out all our videos. Check out the Mortske merch at mortske.com. So what do we tell them, Duff? Doesn't matter how you get it done, so long as you're having fun. Getting old pickups back on the road, driving old pickups. It's fun. See you next week. On to the next one. Look, everybody waves at you when you drive a cool old pickup. Or maybe it's just because they're North Dakota.